time for Q&A, and we'd love to encourage some more questions for Dune and KO.
Hi, my name is Poonam. Thanks so much for being here. I wanted to ask, having done a lot of work with nonprofits in the reentry kind of program field, but not doing an entrepreneurship way, I wanted to ask, could you share one thing that's been the hardest in getting the program up? Because I love the positivity and really enjoy the program, but if you could share one thing that's really a challenge, I would love to hear it so we can know how we can help more.
KO, you want that?
Sure. So I think some of the challenges is introducing new things. But if you work with a nonprofit, you know that when you teach, you have to create an introspection using something that the people that you're working with can relate to. So relating to their behaviors, their skills, and their mindsets. So I think that if we do those things and look at that as the open door to introduce something new, it'll make it easier. So the challenges is just, shaping the belief to believe that you can. Because confidence doesn't start when you do, but when you believe you can do.
It's true. True.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. My name is Caitlin Gallagher, and I'm coming from Columbia Business School. I'm coming from teaching beforehand in Hartford, and I would love to kind of tap your two experiences on how you either now, in the position you're at, kind of think about the changes that need to happen in public high schools across in your community or not, and just kind of how you think that youth engagement has to happen and change to, impact the future.
I mean, I think youth engagement is critical. We struggle with it, to be quite honest. We've been asked to speak at a number of schools. We've never done it. And here's the issue. The trajectory we're on is to flip gangs upside down and make them like the Kiwanis Club, right? It's some social group, right? And so and we got a long ways to go. I mean, I'm not saying we're there, but that is the direction we're going. In our city, we're looking at opening the Bloods Entrepreneurial Center, right? To teach into the community. And so if I go into a school right now, my message is, oh, you're in blue, you look like a Crip, you go talk to this dude, right? And so we want to get to where we encourage the kids to join the gangs, which is completely counter to what goes on in the schools. Now, for good reason, right? But I think, there are a lot of great opportunities within the schools to teach a lot of the values or the beliefs, as KO says, and beliefs are more important than knowledge, but you've got to have the right beliefs before you get knowledge. And to teach those beliefs, and if you want to see a good example of it, St. Benedict's in Newark, New Jersey is off the hook amazing. Had super great success doing it similar to the way we run our company.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, hello, my name is Gidius. I come from Lake Forest College, an hour north from Chicago. I'm originally from Honduras. I was born and raised there, so I have a lot of experience with gang members. There's several gangs in Honduras. Honduras has had been one of the highest homicide rates in the world. My capital city was in position number 2, and I've seen a lot of gang rivalry as well. And I'm wondering, how does this work at the end? Because, for example, if one gang member from different parties are seen together, then the other gang member will kill one of the members because they cannot be seen together interacting. How did you inspire or maybe encourage people to come? I don't know if it works the same way here, but back home, if you're seen with another gang member from a different one, then you're going to be executed or something.
U.S. gangs are different than South American gangs by far. If you grew up in the U.S., killing someone's still a big deal. I don't care where you grew up. And there are places in South America where that's not necessarily the case. But I do think that opportunity does begin to trump all of that, and that is what brings people together. And even in some cities that we have, like Chicago's a rough place these days, right? And even in Chicago, we have opportunity and we've sat down with gang leaders that used to not be able to be in the same room. And so that opportunity absolutely exists. No one wants to look over their shoulder. No one wants to kill anyone. That isn't what anyone wants. And so you just have to show a different path, we believe anyway, and start those conversations, and people do change. It's not quick. I'm a startup guy, so if it's not done by tomorrow, it's a pain. It's a problem. But we're seeing, like I said, in Atlanta, we're seeing 20% drop in gang violence in 3 months. In our city, it's been a year, 90% drop in gang violence. That's pretty quick by most standards. In Chicago, we got together people who never would ever get together, and they sat at the same table and they said they wanted to be part of True Colors. We'll see what comes of it.
Also, just like George said, with leadership, it drives a whole nother aspect. Like, and that's what's wrong with Chicago today. All the leaders were just taken out, and now all the young guys.
They were arrested.
Yeah, and all the young guys are, you know, just mayhem now. So with leadership, it drives growth. It drives opportunity and unity.
It's like a corporation. If I take out all of the senior members of a corporation, it's going to be crazy. It's be a mess, right? And the gangs are no different. And so we'll sit down with leadership and try to figure out how do you install better leadership in Chicago, for example, and how do you begin to bring these people together, and it will stop the violence.
Hi, my name is Nikki Vandevoort. I'm with the Presidio Graduate School, and the core tenet of all our studies is sustainability, which is the triple bottom line: environment, people, economy. And I know that a lot of people here are focused on that same core principle, but sadly, it was overheard at the conference yesterday. How do you educate people because you can take them out of the ghetto, but not the ghetto out of people? And so we're in a room of change makers seeking to move forward with sustainability and those three tenets. And I know there's a lot of good-hearted people here, but how do you engage with people who have that mindset and change their minds?
You know, we have a distinct advantage in that we are for-profit. We're not reliant, we're self-funded. We don't need anything from anybody. And so we can do and say things that give us an advantage over nonprofits, to be quite honest. And we have very frank conversations. And we get involved in the communities you're talking about. We do movie nights in the project every Saturday night for several Saturdays. And the goal is, again, I think media, like if I show inspiring movies of minority men and women coming from here and going to here, eventually it starts to rattle around in your head and it changes the way you think. Beliefs are way more important in the beginning than knowledge. And so we focus very heavily on that, and we also call bullshit on bullshit. Like if you're not ready to change, then no worries. But if you are, here's the opportunity. And the last thing is, because we're business oriented, I know I can reach out to about any CEO, certainly in my state and frankly around the country, and I can get a meeting with them, and I can get that job at the end of it. So one of the problems I think nonprofits have is they come in and they teach, and it's freaking amazing, but then where does that person go? $10 an hour ain't gonna do it, right? And so we've seen in our study, we have a minimum of $15 an hour where our guys get placed, and many make more. And it's because we can reach out to the CEOs, they know us, they understand the business side of what we're doing, and we just have a completely different relationship going on. And that's just an advantage I think that we have because we're for profit and we're self-funded.
We'd love to hear from Dune and KO on this question as well.
Yeah.
Well, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so your question is how do you have that conversation, taking the ghetto out of a person? Again, I believe that when you give someone meaning and when you give opportunity, it changes things. The conversation doesn't have to be forceful, or the conversation doesn't have to be something that works for you, but you have to always meet in a mutual place where the conversation works for both parties. And so I believe that when you give somebody meaning, something that can help provoke change in line with what they know, it stirs something up on the inside of them. And again, like George said, belief. Trust is a big issue in the inner city. And so if you get trust, you have an open door. And if you have an open door, it can create a way to have a conversation. So sometimes I don't think you need to take the ghetto out of somebody, because the ghetto can help you push forward into areas that you may not have access to, right? And I think that the question should be, how can we have a conversation so that we can take what we know into the ghetto? Right?
Yeah. And as for me being from the ghetto, I think that's just a low term. Everybody adapted to their environment. So when you adapt to your environment, you got the ability to do whatever you want to do. Ghetto is just putting somebody at a low standard. We all the same, and that's how I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I would just like to challenge
is
anybody to challenge that mindset if you came into the room with that mindset that's okay to think.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Just that we all are people, and having that mindset. I wasn't trying to imply that we should take the ghetto out of people. I wanted everyone in this room to change their mindset about that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I kind of answered that way. I think that the problem is that we go in there thinking that we have to have a different kind of conversation, and the conversation can't be the same because, you know, I have a relationship with all of the guys at True Colors. We're family now, and I didn't change my conversation. We learned how to talk to each other, and I think that's what unity is when we understand that each one of us may have a different language, a different way of saying things, but we're willing to meet together to speak. You know, I don't have to learn how to speak to you. You don't have to learn how to speak to me. We have to learn how to speak together.
We're out of time for questions. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you.
True.
Colors.
True.